Alright, welcome back guys. It's the next day. So I just went back and I rechecked that valve timing that we did on the last episode, and it was a bit loose. One thing it's important to bear in mind with that is just put some pressure on the bottom of the rocker. Basically when you're doing the timing you want it to measure it at like when it's most open. So I didn't do that yesterday and ended up loosening it more than I needed to. So that should quieten down the valve train noise a little bit. Another thing that quietens down valve train noise is an oil change. So that's what we're going to get on with today. But first, let's start it up and see how it runs. Wow, you can already hear just how much better it sounds. So yeah, I'm going to let that run for about 5 minutes just so it warms up, and that way the oil's going to be nice and loose so we can drain it a lot faster.
Okay then, so now that the car's warmed up a bit, we can get here underneath the car and drain the old oil. So tools you'll need for this bit are a 21mm socket and a 10mm socket. You'll also need a catch can or drip tray, or just something to catch the old nasty oil in so it doesn't go everywhere. And you'll need a replacement gasket set, and I'll show you how all the gaskets work when I get it off. So step one, see this bit here, this is basically the oil filter and drain assembly all in one. And this one in the middle, the 21mm, is the drain plug. So we just want to set to work undoing that. And have your catch can at the ready to catch any drips. Mine is on quite tight. There we go. Okay, so when you're undoing these, so it's a little bit stripped. Okay. You can sort of undo them by hand. It's a good idea to have your drip tray at the ready. And basically just keep pressure on it until it's at the last moment. And then, let's see, it's just about to come from the drip tray. And there we go. And all that lovely black oil coming out. So you will notice on the drain plug there's a little copper gasket. Get rid of that, chuck it in the bin, because you will have a spare, and they are crushed gaskets, so once they've been used they can't be reused. So you should have a replacement, always use that. Don't reuse the old ones, otherwise you'll get oil leaks. So I'm just letting that drain now. These cars don't take a lot of oil, so it won't take too long to drain, but I have just I've also removed the oil cap at the top because that helps to drain it a little bit faster. So yeah, we'll just let that drain for a little bit, and then I will join you when it's time to take the plate off. Okay, so that looks like it's mostly drained out now. So it's a good idea as well just to have a little tray with you just to keep all these nuts in so you don't lose them. So I'm just going to take these 10 mils off now. always make sure your tools get covered in oil. Can't do them any harm. Oh, that's okay, that was just a washer. Okay, so now we can just pull this off. Okay, so that's the plate. And obviously it is quite messy. The filter's still on the car, so that can sometimes take a little bit of persuasion to come off. You might need to get a screwdriver or something just to pry that out. Try not to damage it while you're doing that. I'm going to go and fetch one of those. Okay, let's see if this will do the job. There we go, out comes the filter, also known as a T-strainer for obvious reasons. So you can just inspect that. This one doesn't look in fantastic nick, to be honest with you. You can see it's got a few dings in it. So in all honesty, it would probably be worth replacing that. I don't have a replacement, so I may end up going to source one, or I may end up reusing this one, cleaning it up.
Okay guys, so as you saw, the oil filter we just got out is pretty mangled up and it's got some gasket kind of stuck to it. They are reusable, they're designed to be reused, but in this case I think probably the best thing to do is just to go and get a brand new one. I've checked, they do stock them at Euro Car Parts, which is nearby, so I think I'm just going to go spin down there now. We're doing okay for time today, and then pick one of those up and chuck it back on the car. So let's go on an adventure. Well, here we go. Oh, it's closed. Great. Well, that was a bust, guys. Obviously it's closed on a Sunday. What a complete waste of time. Not to worry, we'll make do with what we got, and yeah, just have to clean up that old filter instead. Alright, well, we're back at the ranch, and looks like we're gonna have to make do with what we've got, so I'm just gonna clean this one up best I can, really. Just gonna use, you can use any kind of solvent really, but I'm gonna use just WD just to clean it up a little bit. Not too bad, to be honest. Sometimes you can just literally dip it in some petrol. That's what you've got. Done that before myself. There we are. It's better already. So on the underneath here, it's still got its old gasket on it, so spray that and I'll try and peel that off. Alright, I'm going to go at that with a razor blade, I think, and see what I can do. Okay, so we got most of that old gasket off. So now it's time for the new ones. I'll just clean that one off there. Get my other glove on. So I've got my new gaskets here, and all they require is our old friend, the grease. Just put a load of that on there. Okay, and we'll get some on the too. There you go, just get those holes lined up. Perfect. More grease on the outside. So, the same thing applies. Same thing applies to this. I'm just going to spray that on. Clean it up a little bit. There we are. Again, just going to get a little bit of grease on there. That's probably too much. There we go. The holes lined up again. Lovely. Some more grease on this side. Oops. Okay. Alright, and then put this back together here. And that is ready to go back on the car.
Okay, so the time's come to put this back on the car now. So, it's simply a case of making sure these studs are all lined up. So we start with the filter. And now the plate. Okay, so that's held on there. What we now want is a couple of the little bolts to hold it back on. But before we do that, we need to put on a brand new washer. Can be quite fiddly, as you can see. Feels pretty good to me. Okay, now for the big guy. And again, you will need a new washer for this one. Nice and tight, just to crush down that washer. Oh. Right, that's on. So I'm just gonna spray all of this and wipe it down, and that's just to clean it up a bit, and then that should give me a better idea of whether or not I get any leaks. Where's my rag? There it is. Right, there we go. So that's back on. Time to fill her up. Time to fill it back up again. So I'm using this Castrol Classic XL30 oil. You know, obviously the older style sort of mineral oils are better rather than the synthetics for these. So yeah, I also got this nice jug with it. It's quite nice, isn't it? So the capacity for these is it's 2.5 litres, which isn't much. So that's another reason why it's so important to keep on top of these oil changes, because yeah, if you haven't got much oil to begin with, you need to change it more often. So yeah, 2.5 litres. This jug here is yeah. So this jug here, it's 2 pints, imperial pints. I don't know what that is in quarts. So 2.5 litres, I believe, is 4.4 imperial pints. So basically going to need 2 and a bit jugs. And the oil fillers here, which is a bit of a pain to get to, but this nice jug should make it a bit easier. So what I'm going to do, I'll start with 2 jugs, and then we'll check the dipstick, and we'll top it up from there. There we go. Lovely. Nice fresh oil. First jug going in now. Yeah. Obviously spilt it straight away. So yeah, these diagonal this oil filter here is just a stupid design. Always ends in tears. So I'm gonna get a funnel. Even with my nice fancy jug, need a funnel. Okay, jug number 2 going in now. Okay, so that's 2 jugs in now, so I'm just going to check where we are on the dipstick. Just going to let that drain in. See, we're just above the bottom one, so a little bit more and we'll be there. Let's check where we're up to. Okay, we're up about halfway, so a little bit more. Yeah, I'd say we're just about getting up to the 4 mark.
Alright then guys, so that should be full of oil now. So what I'm going to do, obviously just put the oil cap back on. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the distributor cap off as it is, and I'm actually just going to crank the engine over until the oil light goes out, just to make sure that oil circulates all the way around the engine and we've got good oil pressure before we actually try and start. So, doing that now. Okay, so the pressure light's gone out, so that's good news. Quick check underneath. Don't see anything dripping. So, I'll stick this back on and start her up. Sounds good to me. Well, that's it for this week's episode, guys. Got the oil changed. Was a bit messy, but we did it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much getting towards the end of the engine stuff now. Next week I'm going to do a proper tune with a timing light and do some tuning on the carb and stuff like that. But then I think we're pretty much good to go. So we can get started on some brakes and stuff like that. Get it actually out of the garage and hopefully sooner rather than later back on the road, because I'd like to do some shows and stuff in the summertime, and obviously I want to take you guys with me. So yeah, thanks once again for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ding the little bell, etc. And yeah, see you again next week. Cheers.